Shooting in color is the default nowadays. Black and white is just an afterthought, a filter that some people apply later in post. But what happens when you force yourself to see the world in black and white? Does that make you a pretentious artist? Or does it change your perspective and how you see the world? Well, if you're thinking about shooting in black and white, then this video is for you. Hi, my name is Jorge. Welcome. On this channel we merge creativity and productivity to try to live a more fulfilling life. Before we begin, earlier this week I posted a video talking about my updated website, my free newsletter, and the channel memberships announcement as well. Links in the description down below if you haven't watched it already. The premise of this video is fairly simple. I personally believe that everybody should have a dedicated black and white camera. For some, that's owning something like a Leica monochrome camera. For others, it's owning a used and older second camera that you can set as a black and white camera. And for others, that is just setting the only camera that they can have and afford to black and white and just commit for a day. Regardless of where you stand and which one of those methods works best for you, I think we can all agree that black and white is an important aspect of photography. Let's get started. I have mentioned this in previous videos, but I'm against changing your main settings in post-production. Heavily cropping your images, changing the aspect ratio, changing from color to black and white, or vice versa. That is just my preference, and if your preference is different, that's okay. There is nothing wrong with that. However, at least for the purpose of this video, you need to understand why I'm against it and why I shoot the way that I do. When I choose settings beforehand and plan my images, I have a goal that I want to achieve with my photos, and I have something to say as well. I'm basically committing to my vision, and committing like that creates accountability. If I go home after a long shooting day and I don't really like the photos and the results that I got, there is no excuses. There is nobody else to blame. I am accountable. All I can do is learn from my mistakes and get good. And I really understand why this way of shooting is not for everyone. It can be really painful and frustrating, and the learning curve can be very steep as well. I get it. But the next time you go out and about and shoot in RAW without really thinking about your craft, and then later on sit in post-production and wonder why things are not working out, why it doesn't feel like you have something to say, a message, a statement, a style, and you keep cropping the images and changing aspect ratios and going from color to black and white, back and forth without really working, then perhaps it's time to reconsider and it's time to be more intentional in the way you shoot. Now, setting a camera like this to a black and white profile or shooting with a black and white sensor does not make it automatically suitable for every type of photography. And I personally believe that your black and white journey starts long before you start using the camera. You need to do some self-exploration, see what works, see what speaks to you and what does not. For example, when I look at my favorite photographs and films of all time, the style and the feeling is very noticeable. It's hard for me not to be astonished while looking at these images. And yes, these were shot in black and white because that's the only thing that was available back then, but the style and the feeling really suit the black and white film. And I've realized that black and white does not automatically fit every photography style out there. It's not a preset or a filter you can just drag and drop into an image and make it better. In a previous video, I talked about how this space exhibition is one of my favorite memories of Japan, and this is something that could have been anywhere. It's not about Japan, but it really made me feel like a citizen of the world. Like people can connect and be awed at similar things even if the language is completely different. However, these photos don't feel right to me in black and white. When I think about space and galaxies and star systems and planets, black and white does not pop in my head. So if I only had black and white photos of that day, I would have been disappointed. So before you get all excited and grab your camera and be ready to take photos, think about what speaks to you, what moves you. What are you trying to achieve with your photography? And once you do figure out what moves you, what speaks to you, then I can guarantee you will immediately know why dragging a black and white filter to your photo is not the way to go. It's really interesting to see how my approach changes with black and white photography. With most of my photographs, the color makes it feel like I'm documenting everyday life. That's kind of what street photography is, and I love it. Some of my favorite photographs I've ever taken are in color. But when I shoot black and white, the distractions of color are removed, and then light and shadows are all that remain. It doesn't feel like I'm documenting everyday life, more like capturing a moment in time, if that makes sense. Composition has always been extremely important to me, and I made a dedicated video just about that. You can watch it right here. However, with black and white photography, composition becomes even more important. Lights, shadows, and composition is all that matters to me when I'm shooting black and white. Let's take a look at the specs of an actual monochrome camera, something like the Leica Q2 monochrome for example. According to this article from dpreview.com, then we can see that Leica basically removed the CFA color filter array, so each photo site captures a single true tone with no loss of resolution through interpolation. And according to this video from red.forum.com, the monochrome sensor has some clear advantages. It's more light sensitive, so it's better with ISO. It has less noise and the patterns are more uniform. And the images are sharper and more detailed. I highly suggest you watch the Q2 monochrome discussion on the red.forum channel. Those guys are incredibly knowledgeable. I highly recommend it. But for us normal people, we just use a simulation profile. Could be something like Acros or Acros on the newer Fujifilm cameras, or monochrome on the X-Pro1 and the X100. But regardless of the brand, every single manufacturer has a black and white profile, so it's very accessible as well. A monochrome sensor is the ultimate commitment, so maybe shoot with an affordable camera first to see if black and white is something that you really want to pursue, and then think about getting a monochrome sensor. Like everything in life, the more you do something, the better you get at it. So here's a couple recommendations and suggestions for people that feel a little afraid to committing to a black and white profile or even a black and white sensor. I personally only shoot in JPEG. However, if you do want to have that safety net, something that helps ease your transition to black and white and gives you peace of mind, then shoot both RAW and JPEG. However, always expose for your JPEGs, always preview your images on the viewfinder in black and white, even if you have a RAW file you can edit later. Commit to your JPEGs. Don't go out there and just take a couple black and white photos and then change your profile to color because either you gave up or you thought you had everything you needed. Commit for the full day. The more you do it, the better you get at it, and more potential life-changing results you can get. So yes, commit for the entire day. Don't try to force black and white on every type of photography. That will not work and you will get discouraged. Instead, focus on what speaks to you, what motivates you, and apply black and white mentality to that. And I can promise you the results are going to be incredible. Only if they speak to you, only if they matter to you. Last but not least, I would just like to say that black and white does not have to be your entire process. Black and white does not have to be your entire photography life. It can be just an aspect of photography that you use every now and then, very intentional, and you reserve for certain types of photography. I have made a video about my top aspects of street photography, and you can watch it right here. But it's okay to say that black and white is just a small aspect of your entire photography process. Does not have to be your everyday thing, does not have to be your main photography style, and you don't have to listen to people that tell you that black and white photography is the only way to go, that is everything about photography. It's okay if it's just a small part of your process. And the last thing I want to mention is, don't force yourself to shoot in black and white if you really don't like it, because the results won't be there. Don't stress yourself if that is not a part of photography that you enjoy. Photography as a passion or a hobby or a profession should be fun. That's the reason why we do it. We want to create. So don't force yourself to do something that you don't want to do. You will never get results that way. So that is what I think about black and white photography and having a dedicated camera for shooting black and white. It is a small aspect of photography that complements my style. It is not my main photography style, but it exists. It's important and it's there. So that's good to know. As always, I'm curious to know, what do you think? Do you shoot often in black and white, or do you shoot only in black and white? Share your thoughts in a comment down below. But that is it for today's video. If you found this video helpful or valuable, please like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, and join my brand new newsletter as well. Thank you very much for watching, for giving me your time and your energy, and good luck with your creative process.